Welcome to this week's episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in as little as 15 minutes to build your dream business. And now here's your host, the Visibility Wiz, Cindy J.
Hi, I'm Cindy J, the Visibility Wiz, and welcome to this episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in 15 minutes or less. Today, our guest is Paul Taubman. Paul is the founder of Digital Maestro, where he's the chief online strategist. Paul teaches technical stuff to non-techies. He is a master instructor at taking obscure and complex and explaining it in a simple, fun, and educational way. Your stress levels will melt away after working with Paul as you take control of your website and turn it into a profit-making machine. Welcome, Paul. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. To begin with, can you share a business or personal challenge that you had to overcome in order to achieve your level of success?
It's a good question. I think one of the biggest hurdles that I had to overcome when I started my business is actually dealing with family, honestly. Because for 27 years, I was in the insurance industry doing IT work, getting systems to talk to each other and share data and that kind of stuff. And during that time, towards the end of it, I would dabble, right? I'd start to build websites for people. I would be doing things with WordPress and helping other people out. And then one day I thought, you know what? I think I'm much happier doing this kind of work than working for the man, right?
Right.
So I remember talking to my wife about it, saying, you know, what do you think? What if I went out on my own? And she was like, what? What do you mean? Like your own business? Like where's the security? Where's insurance? Where's, right? All the concerns, which are valid, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I felt confident that I could do it. And it really was, I don't want to say it was a struggle, but it was work to develop a plan to show her, you know what, this can work. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's how I'm going to get clients. Here's where the income's going to come from. Here, right? And kind of lay things out. And even though I was solid in my beliefs that it would happen, even when I showed her, she was like, I don't know about this. I don't know about this.
Right.
But I pursued and I kind of kept going with it, and we talked about it. And every time I get a new client, I'd go to say, new client, we'd high five, do the little happy dance. And, you know, she would believe even more and even more. And then finally, I picked a date. I said, this is the date when I'm going to give my notice at work. And it was, you know, at that point, maybe 6 months away.
Right.
And honestly, as I got closer and closer, I started having the beliefs of, oh, what if it doesn't work? Like I'm giving up my job. I'm doing this. And she was not knowing that I would have these thoughts. You know, she would come to me and say, you know, when you have your own job and you have your own business, you'll be able to do this and this and this. And when you have your own business, you can do, I'm like, oh, I guess there's no turning back. So kind of a nice symbiosis with kind of talking and stuff. But it was the planning to make sure that everybody was on board family-wise to do it full time.
And it is very scary to go off on your own and leave the quote-unquote security of your day job. Yep. So I'm glad that you shared that, because so many people, even whenever they're making decent money, and it's always like, how much should I make before I quit? You know, what should I have in savings? What should I have in place? And I know some people, they just jump for it without absolutely no security, which would have terrified me.
Yeah, that would not, right? Some people are good like that. They can do that, but me, no, I needed at least a stable business. I originally thought when I'm making the same amount, that's when I'm quitting. Mm-hmm. But towards the end, it was like, I was working 2 jobs at that point. And I think I was at about 50% of my income that I was making for my job. Then I said, you know what, if I'm making 50% now, sort of part-time, I can do this. And that's when it happened.
I know for me, I actually, because I actually retired from the county, but originally I had put it in my vision board. I filled out all the county papers, the retirement papers, and put it on my vision board to retire on December 31st, 2010 to take my business full time. And I didn't retire at that time. I actually left in June of 2011, but I think a lot of it was seeing it on my vision board constantly.
Yeah.
Kept building me up. So to me, you are the man whenever it comes to how to build a good, sustainable WordPress site. And a lot of entrepreneurs, whenever they start, they always hear about WordPress, but a lot of them will go to WordPress.org instead of WordPress.com. So can you explain the difference and which one they should choose and why it's so important?
Great question. So WordPress.com is where you can go and can have a free website. So if I wanted to, I could go over there and create a website, but the name or the URL, the address would be something like digitalmaestro.wordpress.com. And that's really a place where, that's not really good for branding to have WordPress.com in the name, as opposed to my website, which is self-hosted, which is called digitalmaestro.com. So the big difference is that WordPress.org provides you with the same software. It's free, but it gives you the software that you can put on your own hosting account. And a hosting account is just a place where all your files for your website, all your images, all your pictures, all your documents, all that good stuff gets stored. So when you have your own hosting account, think of it this way. When you are a renter, right? You don't have to worry about a lot of things, but you have to follow the rules of the landlord. So if sometimes you want to paint the walls, you might have to get permission. If you want to knock down a wall and make 2 small bedrooms into a master bedroom, you have to get permission from the landlord, right? So there are rules that you have to follow. The same thing is true with WordPress.com, right? They're in charge. You're there for free for the most part. They do have some paid services, but you have to follow their rules. And some of their rules are very strict when it comes to selling products or doing affiliate marketing. And they can, if you break one of their rules, otherwise known as the terms of service, right? If you break their rules, they can shut you down immediately without any notice. So you might have a business on WordPress.com and poof, one day it's just gone.
Right.
When you're on your own hosting account and you have WordPress, the software from WordPress.org installed there, you are the landlord, you're the homeowner. So you can do whatever you want. You want to knock down those walls? Go ahead. You want to, install certain software or plugins? No problem. You can do whatever you want. But with power comes responsibility, right? So you have to take charge of maintaining your own website instead of what WordPress.com did. And it's a matter of learning a few new skills in order to do that. So that's the big difference.
I know whenever I first started, even one of the things that I heard so much was that if you are not self-hosted, they can do anything with your content. They can change it. They can advertise whatever they want. I don't know if that's still true today, but it's like, and you're not really a business owner because you have to follow all the rules.
Exactly.
And a lot of people, to be taken to be as a serious business owner, they want you to have your own place where you're completely in charge of it. It's sort of like the difference between having Paul at digitalmaestro.com or Paul at gmail.com.
Right, exactly. Yep. And, you made a good point when you said they can, shut you down in an instant, and they don't have to give you a reason either.
Right.
They can say, you broke the rules. Sorry.
Yeah. I like that you was comparing it to a landlord. Just a couple nights ago, I was talking to my husband. I said, when I got married to my first husband, we had the landlord from hell. This woman, she would literally come to my house at 9 o'clock on Sunday night, demanding to walk through the house to make sure everything was okay. She would come, she never came later than 9. She would come as early as 7 o'clock in the morning and as late as 9 o'clock. And she would drop by 2 or 3 times a month, just at random. So whenever you was talking about that, I'm like, really, you don't want to give your control over to somebody like that.
Yeah, they say, if you read the terms of service, which most people don't, they just click okay and move on, right? Because it's like this long, right? It just keeps going. But in it, one thing is, typically it'll say you still own the rights to it, right? You're the copyright owner. So it is yours. And people go, that's all I want. However, what they don't realize, and you mentioned it, is they can take out any part of your website and use it any way they want, right? They have the right to do that because, well, they're the landlord. Right? You can't argue with it. You're agreeing to it.
Right.
Go someplace else.
Yeah. So if somebody is paying somebody to build a website, what should they look for? And what's reasonable cost versus an unreasonable cost? And what are some of the key pages they need just to get started?
Okay. Ooh, so
lots of questions in there.
Yeah, lots of questions. Let me see. So the first one I get all the time. How much? I need a new website. What's it going to cost? And it's a legitimate question. And I'll come back and I'll use the same, keeping with that house analogy. Great. I want to buy a house. What's a house going to cost me? I'm like, well, what kind of house do you want? Do you want the studio or do you want the McMansion? I go, well, that's exactly the case with a website. What do you want? Do you want just a small little footprint on the internet so people can go check you out? Or do you want a whole big site that has a community and has a membership site that allows people to do bookings and pay for you, right? You do all these different kind of things. So it's tough to say what a website costs without knowing what it is. And if we take a step back before that, one of the things that you should always think about if you're looking to have a website built for you is, what's the reason for the website? People usually don't think that. They just go, I need a website. Well, is the website there to promote you as an expert? Is it there just to give information? Is it there so that when people find out about you, they want to find out more and they Google you and they look at your website? Is it for a community? Is it that membership site, right? So there's all different kinds of things involved with that. A lot of times people will think that because WordPress is free, the website should be cheap, right? And I have told people, well, if you really don't want to pay because that's a problem, financially, right? Some people are just in that position. You can go to Fiverr and have somebody build you a website for, $20. Right? The difference between a $20 website and a $1,000 or $2,000 website is going to be things like security, things like how is it responsive? Meaning, if somebody's looking at an iPhone or a smartphone or a tablet, does it still look good? Believe it or not, there's still websites out there that you still have to do the pinching and the scrolling and the moving all around when it's on a mobile device, right? And those kind of things. So
I like your analogies through the house now, with the house and even like, the studio or the McMansion. And I know that a lot of entrepreneurs, they start out, they think they need the McMansion whenever they just need that basic site. I typically advise, hey, you just need a very basic website, an about me page, an opt-in gift, your home page, and, maybe terms of services, but, 5 to 10 page WordPress site is enough to get started. And then as you build your business, then you can build the website and down the road. I've also known people who have spent $10,000, $14,000 building this huge site that's taking them months. And so they don't even get started on their business until their website's built. Most people, whenever they buy their first house, it's not their dream house.
Right. It's not their forever house. Yep.
Right. And it changes throughout time. With my own website, I know I probably revamped it a good 3 to 4 different times with different things because things change or you just get tired of it yourself, so you want to upgrade.
And websites are always evolving as well. Typical website should be redone every 3, 4, 5 years just because technology is, if you look at websites from 5 years ago, today you go, oh, this is kind of old. This is kind of right? And so it's just a matter of keeping up with things. And chances are your business changes in 5 years. So, so while you may be making incremental changes along the way, branding changes, the technology changes, right? So there's all kinds of things for that. But I agree that, waiting around for the perfect website, make sure everything is in place, you're never going to get it done. So put something up. I was just speaking with a client before we're talking now, and I said, let's just get things ready so it can go live. We've been waiting for 2 months now. And you're saying, oh, I'll get you pictures. I'll do this. Let's get it so that it's ready and it's presentable. I'm not saying junk, but let's put something up so people know you're there. And
Mm-hmm.
then we'll add on the extra, the extra pieces, the bells and the whistles and that kind
Right.
of stuff. So,
Yes.
Yep.
And that's very true. I know also, what would you say are some of the best ways to attract clients to your site once you have it there, to build the engagement and the credibility?
oh, so,
Just one or two.
right. So that's going to be the difference between the inexpensive website where they just put something up and, a more expensive, something that's a little bit more expensive, because, I tell people you can make a pretty website or you can make a website that looks good and is a marketing machine. Right. So many times you don't get, which you mentioned, your landing page, having something that somebody can offer as a gift. So you can work on marketing to them and you can build a relationship. Right. So that's definitely something. People are hesitant to have a blog. And if they do have a blog, to actually have comments open so people can leave comments. And that's definitely a huge benefit. Having the blog gives you the capability of putting content up on a regular basis. That's pretty easy. And then having people leave comments, my gosh, that's huge in the eyes of the search engines, because they see that as interaction and engagement, and they certainly love to see that, right? Because if there's a website that has engagement, people are coming, leaving comments, and then you leave a comment under that, and then they comment back, right? You have this conversation going. Google sees that as people think that your website is important. They're coming back. That's a good sign compared to a website without a blog that's just stale. It's stagnant.
Right.
They come and Google goes, oh, hasn't changed in a week. All right. Then they'll come back 2 weeks later. Oh, still not. And they go, have they abandoned the site? I don't know. Right. So that makes your search engine rankings go lower and lower. So having a blog, letting comments, that's going to help with engagement, keeping in regular touch with them through email marketing.
Right.
Certainly going to help.
Okay. And can you share a business strategy with our listeners that they can implement in 15 minutes or less in order to grow their business?
Just one. So I'm going to say, so I just talked about blogging and the importance of that. A lot of times people will say, I don't know what to blog about though. And the tip that you can do every day, or, schedule it once every other day, you don't have to blog every day. So I'm going to say that right away. The more you blog, the better. So if you can blog every day, that's a challenge right there, but come up with a consistent blogging schedule. So maybe it's once a week on Tuesdays. If you can do it twice a week, maybe it's Tuesdays and Thursdays, or Tuesday and Friday, whatever the case may be. And then every morning, just think about, what you want to accomplish that day. For not thinking about the blog per se, but just in business. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Maybe there's something that happened in your personal life the day before. How can you relate those things into a blog post? Because people love it when you're personal. And a lot of times people say, you know what? It's a business website. I don't want to talk about me, but people buy from you. They don't buy from a business. So when you start to talk about personal things and you interweave them into how that affects your business, that helps build a relationship with them. And we know that people will do business with people that they know, they like, and they trust. Right. And that all happens when you open up and talk about personal things, or things that affect you and how it works into your business. And people love that. So
I completely agree. I thought that you'd talk about commenting out there, because I know that you have a Facebook group, and every 3 months you do challenge people to blog every day. But also part of being in the challenge is commenting. And you had just said a minute ago about, leaving blogs that comment. Is there still value in commenting on other people's blogs to you, or is it just the value to the person that posted the blog post?
So I think there's value to both of you. And here's why. Number one, when you go back and you comment on somebody's website, if they're in your same niche, or if there's somebody that you just like what they're doing, maybe it's a hobby website, and you go back and you comment and you comment and you comment, and they comment back and they comment, people realize and they go, oh, this person's commenting again. You can actually build a good relationship with somebody like that. Now, it's not in person, right? And I've met so many people through leaving comments virtually that, you know, I can send them emails and we talk about different strategies and we do stuff. And all that happened because of leaving comments and kind of getting noticed. A lot of times people say, you know, there's this guru or there's this person that I respect and I love what they're doing. How can I talk to them? How can I get in touch with them? And the easiest way is go to their website and leave comments. Show them that you're there. And by comments, I don't mean, oh, I liked what you wrote, right? Have something engaging. Let them know what you liked about it or you know, pose a question. Give them something that they can respond to. And, you know, before you know it, they're going to recognize you. And if you do send them an email or you send them a message through their contact form, they're going to know who you are. And, you know, it's a non-technical result that is going to be to your benefit. Right. But it's certainly a benefit of commenting. Plus, when you leave a comment, as you know, probably, it's going to say, what's your name, what's your website, and what do you want to say?
Right.
Right. So when that gets published on their website, your name actually becomes a link to your website. So if somebody reads your comment and they go, wow, I like what they wrote, they had good insight, they can click on your name and boom, now they come to your website and now you have traffic. And now you have somebody who can possibly engage with you. So yeah, there's certainly lots of benefits of commenting like that.
And I did want to touch on that because so many people think commenting is useless. And I like commenting. I still believe it's a huge part of my business. So I wanted your input on it. And I know that you have a wonderful gift for our listeners. So can you share a little bit about it?
Sure. So we've been talking about websites and different aspects and that kind of thing. So I've put together a short little report of some really important and some simple basic things that they're always making mistakes about it. So it's a report on 7 mistakes that most people are making on their website. So they can just download it and just, you know, go along and follow and say, okay, do I have this one? Am I doing this? And if you're doing it, that's okay. Just stop, correct it, and don't make the mistake anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And it's a great book. So to our listeners, you want to head on over to Biz Success In 15. This is where you can download it. And any links that we mentioned today will also be on the Biz Success page for Paul. You'll be able to re-listen to this episode or watch the episode. So you may want to re-listen to it to catch any golden nuggets that you might have missed because we really covered a lot of stuff today. And Paul, do you have any parting words for our listeners?
Along the line of comments, since we've been kind of talking about that a lot, I remember when I first started my first website and still up there, I would write and I would blog and I would blog. And I remember at one point I even wrote a blog post that said, is anyone reading this? I seem to just be, right? So a lot of times you feel like you're writing and there's nobody there, nobody's listening. Mm-hmm. But people are coming, and just give it time and give it exposure and just don't give up.
Right.
It will be worth it. You'll enjoy it. And sometimes it doesn't matter if people don't comment. A lot of times people just like to write for the writing's sake, and it's good for you. So, yeah.
Right. Love it. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you today.
This has been a lot of fun.
Well, thank you. And for our listeners, remember, if you enjoyed today's show, be sure to share it with your friends. And that way we can all get really good profit-making websites. And be sure to visit Biz Success In 15, where you can re-listen to today's episode, catch up on past episodes, and be sure to grab Paul's gift, the top 7 mistakes that website owners are making. And with that, be sure to tune in next week. Big hugs, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Biz Success In 15. For all links mentioned in today's show and to watch or listen to previous episodes, visit bizsuccessin15.com. Thanks so much for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for another amazing guest.